Over. Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Her Talk Show. This podcast is dedicated to sharing stories of struggle and triumph, a platform that allows individuals to tell their truth in order to inspire and uplift others. For those of you that are new to this podcast and like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, follow, like, and share. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. Let's jump right in.
We come to you every day with the best speakers, relationship coaches, spiritual mentors, trailblazers, business owners, authors, young hustlers, podcasters, entrepreneurs, fitness trainers, therapists, financial advisors, and more. We ask our guests one question. What do you know that I don't know? Get ready, because today's guest is about to change the way you view your world. This is Her Talk Show, hosted by Sabrina Victoria.
Hello, and thank you so much for being here, for jumping on live. Those of you that are already jumping on live, thank you for being here. If you are watching us on the replay, make sure you hashtag replay wherever you are watching us at so we can send you some love. We have had over 400 women grace this stage, and we are adding another one to our list here. Thank you so much for being here. This platform is based on inspiration, based on storytelling, based on knowledge, journeys, all of the things that we have gone through as women, and all of the knowledge that so many of us have, the learning experiences. So today I am speaking with an amazing woman named Michelle Delport. Michelle became an entrepreneur at 26. That's so cool. After migrating from South Africa to Holland, she owned a pub/hotel in the Amsterdam Red Light District. She became a single mother at 42 because she decided to choose herself over her addict partner. Her mission in life is to guide others from just okay to a thriving, beautiful life. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Yes, thank you. I so appreciate you taking some time out of your day to hang out and chill with us and share with us some of the awesomeness that's going on in your life with your journey and the things that you're doing in this world. So, what do you know? What do you know that we should know? Share something with us. Where are we going with this?
So my journey has been one where it took me a very long time for self-love and self-acceptance. And so I worked hard. I worked damn hard. I was very good at what I did, but there was never very much satisfaction in my life. And I, as a pub owner, was a heavy drinker, was never really healthy, taking care of myself. And then many years ago, I started my personal development journey and realized that that the missing part, even though I was always of service and always wanted to be of service, the missing part was the connection with myself and the self-acceptance.
When did that come into, when did you start to realize that? What happened?
Well, there were a couple of events, but one of them on a personal development retreat weekend, we were asked to do mirror work, and the very first time I faced a mirror and had to tell myself that I love myself, I just couldn't. And it felt like hours. It was possibly 5 minutes, but it felt like hours. And then eventually, through some hard tears and really hard looking deep, I was able to whisper, I love you, Michelle.
Wow.
And that was just incredible that it was so hard, and it was such a shock to me. And from then it's been growing, and it's still a practice. It still have to work at it. And there's still outside things that make you doubt yourself. And then now when I look in the mirror, I can do it pretty quickly and pretty easily, but it took a long time.
Yes. Isn't that crazy? I remember the first time doing I am statements in the mirror, and I couldn't even mouth the words. I couldn't even mouth it without like breaking down into tears.
Yeah.
Where did all of that self-doubt, negative thoughts, you know, self-esteem, you know, not so much confidence. Where did that come from? Why was that there? You're a business owner at the age of 26. You own a pub/hotel. Like, it seems as if you would have a ton of self-love and confidence.
Yeah. No, I was always second guessing myself, and I put my goals very high, and I was always falling short, and I was always just not achieving what I'd set out to achieve, and I was knocking myself down. I was my own worst critic. And then if you look at the bigger picture, the hindsight picture is, my father was a bully, and so instead of, my father taught us, and especially me, to call ourselves names. So if I messed up, my father would say, "What are you?" And I would have to answer, "I am stupid." And then he would affirm, "Yes, you are stupid." And so that is like a childhood trauma that's followed me for a very long time. And so, I can see the shock on your face. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
he was a bully. Yeah, and so, to deal with that kind of negative image, and my father always pushing us to be stronger, harder, better. We were never enough. That was like ingrained in me, and I really had to go deep to break through that, old belief. And, I mean, there's many examples as an adult where I was confronted with myself, and, I think now, for example, um, I speak Dutch fluently. I've lived in Holland for more than 25 years, and still I find it difficult to write Dutch. And when people ask me why, then I say, because I don't want to come across stupid. But I mean, it's so old, and it makes no sense to still, I've conquered a language. I've learned something new. I've immigrated. I'm doing it. So it's my old belief, it's got nothing to do with how other people perceive me. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. What's the changes that you're making as a mother now?
That's interesting because I'm, as you well know, you don't get a handbook, so you have to try things out. And, kids are they're an amazing learning. They just, and it's just having to adapt and be flexible all the time. And so with my own son, I so did not want to be like my parents, and the very strict upbringing, to be seen, not heard, that type of thing. I made a conscious effort to go the other way, but then to find the balance about discipline or freedom, to find the balance was very tricky for me, and I'm still learning. I mean, he's 9 years old now, and I'm doing a great job, but I'm still learning, and so sometimes, I have to say sorry. Sometimes I have to try something new. What I have noticed with my son is that, he thrives on structure, and so even when I think I'm being strict, I'm not. I'm giving him structure, and I'm allowing him to blossom and to grow. And then for me, I have 3 words that guide me. So for him, I want him to be confident. I want him to be adaptable, and I want him to be, uh, loving. So when I have conflicting situations, those words are my guide. Like, how would I now approach the situation, giving the end in mind?
Yeah. Wow. So this word freedom, I know that that is a strong word for you in the world of self-acceptance and self-love. How did this come to be? When did you really start to adopt this new lifestyle and start to pivot your mindset?
That's been an ongoing process. And I guess freedom to me is freedom to be myself, to not, uh, react of what I expect my parents or my siblings or my friends or my partner would expect from me, but to check with myself, what is it that I want in the situation, or what is my honest communication. And so freedom for me is not just about having freedom, but about being free to express my emotions, to being vulnerable when I want to be vulnerable, to, instead of having a strong wall up, to actually say the words of I'm uncomfortable, or this is going over my boundaries, or I don't know how to respond, give me some time to think about it, instead of just putting up a wall, to break down the wall and to use my voice as a form of freedom, and to express my emotions as a form of freedom, and to say the things that are hard to say as a form of freedom. Yeah.
How does somebody know when they are being their authentic selves? Because I think back through my journey, and if you would have asked me at any point in my life, do you feel free? Are you being your real self? I would have been like, yeah, of course, 100%. But I was like, so not. So many people had all the power in my world. How does somebody know when they're being authentic, when they're stepping into what it means to be free?
I think that's also a process, because as you yourself say, you say in hindsight you now recognize it. So for me, it's about being in a flow state. So if I'm not fighting, if I'm not running away, if I'm actually feel energy, feel like I'm flowing, feel like it's smooth, and I can look myself in the mirror without a moment of hesitation, that to me is my authentic self. And if I there's been moments where you know how it is when you, like, maybe you've gossiped about something, or you've made a judgment about somebody. If in that moment you think you could look yourself in the mirror, then and you're going to like flinch because you just had that thought or that judgment, you're not being authentic, you're not being free.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Um, Dependable guide, Michelle, dependable guide. What is this?
So I have been a coach for several years now, for just over 3 years. And I chose the word guide because I don't tell people what to do. I want to guide them to their own decision. And because they're making their own decision, they're much more capable of sticking to their action plan or their dream or their follow through. And if I'm telling, I don't feel that I'm being as effective as when I'm guiding.
What's the difference?
If I tell you how to run your business, it's my thoughts. Whereas if I ask you powerful questions that get to the core of the issue, then you come up with your own aha, and then in your own aha, I can guide you the better way to run your business, because I have entrepreneurial experience, I have lots of experience. But unless you come up with your own aha, then you're just following my plan, and my plan that might not be effective for your business.
Definitely makes sense, for sure. Okay, I love that. Michelle, dependable guide. So you are a guide.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What would you say are the 3 steps, or the steps, doesn't have to be 3, a couple of steps that someone should take when they are looking to pivot from just surviving to thriving?
So I sometimes get my clients to make several kinds of lists, and depending on which works for them and resonates with them most, some of them would be what are the things that you're most proud of your life? What would you recognize in yourself to be your great proud moments that you've achieved? Some of them could be, what are your self-care rituals? What rejuvenates you? What gives you the right kind of energy? Some of it could be a love letter to yourself, and or a letter of forgiveness to yourself or to other ones that have harmed you in the past. Or some of it could be very simple mirror work. And I encourage my clients to do whatever steps that works best for them to get to self-love and self-acceptance quicker. And so it could be as simple as the high five in the morning on the mirror, or 2 minutes of staring into your eyes, or mouthing the words, I love you, and building up from there. For me, one of my strong defining moments was when I realized that the love that I have for my son and how unconditional that is. And then I try to love myself in the same way as the unconditional love I have for him.
Wow.
And I found that incredibly difficult. And that I'm just as worthy as he is. And so, loving, sending myself, writing myself a love letter, which I then read for several weeks every night. But in the same tone of I love you unconditionally, that moved me. And because I can understand and feel the love that I have for my son. So that really moved me. And so whatever works for my clients and it's all about self-love and self-acceptance for me.
Writing a love letter. This love letter, how is it? A long letter? Is it a short letter? What does this love letter look like?
Wow, that is really very personal. So it's and I think it's about getting yourself into that stage. You know, when you get into that stage of journaling or something, and you just write, and then you just let your thoughts flow, and then afterwards you can edit it and you can make it shorter and you can form it the way you want. But just to start the whole process of what does it look like to love myself, and once you start that process, oh, it looks like this, and I feel like this, and why am I special, and why am I worthy, and etc. And then once you start flowing, then you can adjust it later. But it's really just to get started.
Wow. And then are you reading this love letter out loud or silently before bed or in the mirror? Where is it best to be read?
Well, a couple of times I actually a couple of times I shared it, which was which was quite intense. Sharing it to somebody else, a fellow coaches or friends or something, and in that process, and that was wonderful, but it was scary. But in that process, you're incredibly vulnerable, and all they have to do is listen. I mean, there's no judgment or anything, just listen. But besides that, which is really a bold step, I just read it to myself out loud in bed for a couple of weeks, until I felt like I ingrained it, and when it became less emotional and less intense, and when I got to that stage where I felt like, yeah, this is true, this is me, then I could put it away.
Wow. That is so lovely. So writing yourself a love letter, mouthing or saying, I love you, Sabrina, in the mirror. What's another one? Did I miss one?
Yeah, so the mirror work, quite a bit of that is also just if you can't say I love you in the mirror, it's just to stare in your eyes for 2 minutes, and even if it's just to put a clock on and just do it daily until it becomes easier, and not like, oh, look at this and oh, look at that, but to really just stare yourself in the eyes and just focus on your eyes, and you'll actually find it becomes easier and easier, and you automatically become more loving towards yourself doing that. The other was writing all the things down that you have achieved in your life, all your successes, all the things you're proud of.
Oh, I love that. Writing down achievements. Fantastic.
And what surprises me also quite often is how few people actually know what self-care is for them. So if I would say, what does your husband love or what does your child love? They would automatically say, oh, my husband loves it when I massage his feet, or my son loves it when I tap his bath for him, or whatever. But when you say to them, and what do you love? They're like, oh, I don't know. And so to practice that, you have a couple of those every week that you just do for yourself and find out which is the ones that you love, whether it's reading or walking or having your moment of a cup of tea or whatever it may be. It's very individual, of course. But if you actually work on the ones that you know and expand your lists so that you can make a point of adding several of them a week to your self-care ritual.
That is fantastic. I love the things that you're talking about here, because I feel as if no matter where you are in your mental state, these are doable. They're not like super difficult, and they can be done at different levels, right? The love letter could become over time more loving, whereas in the beginning it might be a little more shallow. And then as you get a little more used to it and more loving, you can evolve it. As far as I'm thinking of women, including you and I, because we all have limiting beliefs. What are some limiting beliefs that let's say that you had to shed in order to step into this world of feeling really free?
So the one that came up for me the most in different phases of my life was imposter syndrome. Came up a lot. Another one that I have is fear of failure. And sometimes a little bit fear of rejection, but that in comparison to the other two is not so big. But the fear of failure, it was definitely big. And so I've had some huge successes. I've had different kinds of businesses. I've had a few failures as well. But the imposter syndrome was definitely, who am I to think that I can do this? And I look, and that was very interesting in my pub life, is that I look confident. I look self-assured. I look like I've got it under control. But in the meantime, I'm crying on the inside, like, help me. And I was really feeling alone at the top. And I didn't know then. I didn't know then to reach out or ask for help or share my burden, because especially with imposter syndrome, a burden shared is a burden halved. And so yeah, but I didn't know all of that back then.
Yeah. Definitely. As far as getting over something like imposter syndrome, how does somebody begin to pivot that?
Well, I think that one specifically is really about sharing it, because often the case is, I think Brené Brown talks about it quite a bit as well. Often the case is that people actually don't know. And once you share the fact that you're suffering through it, people see you in a different light and tell you things that you didn't realize. And you see that much. It's a bit more difficult being a solo entrepreneur. But even then, you've got fellow coaches and other people that you could reach out to. But especially in the corporate world, you see a lot of people with suffering from imposter syndrome. And once they say, I'm really battling with this because I'm not sure if I'm the right person for the job or whatever, then you have feedback. And mostly you find that the feedback is very positive, and that people were totally unaware of your insecurities. And then you lift up and move beyond that.
Wow. So sharing it allows other people to give you feedback.
Yeah. And opens up doors you were previously not aware of.
Oh, that is so interesting. So almost stepping into a mindset of vulnerability
Yeah.
will help heal that.
And vulnerability is to me a very interesting word. So for me, vulnerability in my previous life, I would have considered a swear word. I would have considered it weakness. I would have considered it bad. And now, when I see vulnerability, I see strength. I see power. I see follow through. I see openness. And so for me, the word has changed a lot. And now I really see it as something very strong.
Oh, that is so great. Strength and power is what vulnerability is. That's great. I want to take a moment really fast to acknowledge those that are watching live. Thank you so much for being here, for hanging out with us. If you are watching us on the replay, like I said, if you could hashtag replay wherever you're watching us at so we can send you some love, that would be great. No matter how or when you're watching us, if you could share this video wherever you're at so we can get more eyes and more ears on this awesome content, that would be fantastic. But I want to ask Michelle, what exactly is your business? What exactly do you do? How do you help all the humans?
My preferred way of helping is one-on-one coaching. And because I really like to go deep dive, I like to have high impact, I like to have quick solutions. So I really like one-on-one coaching. In my direct environment, in my community, I prefer to spend a half day or a day with my client the first day, and that would include a long walk, so like an hour walk. And I find that just being out in nature, and while we're in the process of walking, I ask some powerful questions, and I find that really gets some things moving. I find that is really very beneficial for my clients. But otherwise, I do one-on-one coaching online because that had to happen because of Corona. So yeah. that's the life we lead now. Hey. So, yeah.
Yes. For those that are watching here live or on the replay who are really resonating with you and the vibrations that you're putting out, where do you predominantly hang out at on social media? Where can people find you?
Yeah, I'm mostly LinkedIn, so that's my preferred medium, and I'm also on Facebook. And then yeah, my website's also out there, michelledelportcoach.com. That was made before I decided to call myself a guide.
I love it. What are your big dreams for your business?
I have this beautiful vision of being a teacher student always. So I have this vision of just sending out all my energy, and as I'm guiding other women, the energy comes back. But while I'm guiding them, I just see this beautiful ripple effect of how me touching their lives affects their children, affects their partners, affects their work, and it's just this beautiful flow of positive energy moving forward. And I would love to, especially females, I'd love to impact a lot of females.
That's great. Why do you do what you do?
I've always loved being of service. I always want to give back. I found my particular journey incredibly hard, and if I can touch somebody else's life and make it a little bit easier, I feel good doing so.
Yes. That's fantastic. Well, I so love what you do. I love that you use the word guide. I think that that's just so beautiful. I took some amazing notes here of all of the goodness that you shared today. So thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to hang out and share some awesomeness with us. I certainly hope that everyone watching live or on the replay had a notebook with them so that they could write down some of this nice little nuggets of information that you shared with us. Any closing thoughts as we wrap up?
I just want to thank you for what you do. Thank you very much, Sabrina. I much appreciate it for this opportunity. And I would just like to tell your audience, anything that you can do to love yourself a little bit more, I would strongly encourage.
Yes. Well, if you resonated with Michelle and all the goodness that she shared today, make sure that you connect with her. Predominantly on LinkedIn is where she hangs out. Her website is below in wherever you're watching this at, in a clickable link, so you can check out that URL. We love to connect people here on this platform, so make sure that you reach out so that we can all continue to rise. Thank you so much for joining us here on Her Talk Show. This community is expanding every single day and is filled with females who are striving to do better than they did yesterday. For those of you that are new to this podcast and like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, follow, like, and share. If you have an amazing story, knowledge, inspiration to share, make sure to reach out to me at hernation.life. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria, and I'm so grateful to be here sharing a platform that allows people to share their truth and inspire others.